With the new reboot of Saban's Power Rangers hitting movie theaters, it's little shock to anyone that a tie-in game released alongside it. What will surprise you is that Power Rangers Legacy Wars is actually quite decent as far as mobile fighting games go. This isn't to say everything is in tip-top shape, but developer Enway Incorporated manages to morph the tap and drag fighting genre into something far more substantive thanks to two key elements. One key aspect is that Power Rangers Legacy Wars is purely player versus player outside of training mode, so out of the gate you are pitted against human players, who actually present a challenge! The nice thing is that even if you lose, you earn experience that goes towards unlocking a daily chest that grants you new characters and small amounts of currency. You also gain and lose rankings, meaning the game is always keeping track of who you're able to go toe-to-toe with, ensuring typically fair fights. There's also no energy charge system limiting how many times you play, further encouraging you to dig into the gameplay rather than grappling with time limits. Instead, countdown timers are exclusively limited to unlocking chests. The second part that makes this all worthwhile is that Power Rangers Legacy Wars is far more about strategy than execution. If you're a fan of card games or Final Fantasy's active time battle system, Power Rangers Legacy Wars is right up your alley. You have an always regenerating ability bar that is your primary resource in battle, effectively a stamina gauge. You burn several chunks of it to use your various moves, be that calling in one of your two allies for a power move, blocking, or firing off an attack. Rather than limit you to 3 preset abilities though, your power set rotates like a deck of cards, forcing you to switch up your strategy and preventing your opponents from spamming you to death. The ability bar also needs time to replenish, adding potential risk and reward to those who fire off a string of attacks only to be left vulnerable for crucial seconds while their opponent gets back up. The amount of effort that went into making Power Rangers Legacy Wars combat feel fluid and deep is above and beyond expectations. On top of the base ability bar mechanics, there's a rock paper scissors system regarding what attacks interrupt each other, which also makes saving your block ability very important. The level of nuance and complexity made so natural and accessible to the player is impressive. The netcode was also incredibly smooth during my time playing. Combined with the quasi-turn-based nature, it was easy for both my opponents and I to stand a chance in a fight. After enough practice, I was winning several battles in a row at times, and had unlocked multiple Rangers across the eras. Your Ranger team consists of one leader that you'll primarily play as, and 2 assist Rangers who can pop in to fire off a special attack. Special attacks can be ranged or up close, and have different firing rates, so they really help add some flexibility to how you assemble your team. Each leader also has a different set of attacks, so be sure to try out multiple leaders with different assists to find out what works best for you. Unfortunately, building your team is a bit less intuitive than it could be. While it's very easy to unlock new characters, the way you upgrade them is where the game's design becomes far more grind intensive. You see, you don't simply level up characters with experience, but have to receive shards and loot boxes that go towards leveling them up. Except these loot boxes are random, so you might get level ups for an assist hero you never use. The one way the game compensates for this is that you can spend power coins, one of the 2 in-game currencies, towards unlocking or leveling up the featured heroes on the storefront, which are featured 3 at a time. Except the coins needed for each shard multiply significantly, so be sure to have some saved up in advance if that's how you want to go about it. There's also the opportunity to unlock a few of the series' villains, although they all appear to be done in the style of the current film, and certain characters like Lord Zed are currently not available. It also warrants mentioning that while Power Rangers Legacy Wars does grant you a fair amount of currency for free, it's very clear they want you to spend your cash on in-game currency, as those loot box wait times can be multiple hours long. Yeah, I'm not kidding, multiple hours. Plus, you have a limit of 4 loot boxes in your inventory at a time, so yeah, not fun times. Finally, while the gameplay is polished, the same cannot be said for the visuals and audio design. The starting zone you play in has a giant gap where the background just ends. And it's not hidden, you can see it every time a match starts. And the environments in general seem like an afterthought. Characters have no real voice work either, not even old clips from the various shows and films, which you'd think they would incorporate. And the soundtrack is just annoying, repetitive action movie tracks you've heard 1,000 times. Thankfully, this doesn't detract too much from the core experience thanks to some decent combat animation work and some solid user interface design conveying all the important information you need without cluttering up the screen. Still, looking past these foibles, Enway Incorporated should be proud of themselves. Power Rangers Legacy Wars manages to be more than a simple licensed tie-in, instead offering a solid mobile fighting game with a decent roster of characters and some fantastic gameplay. I came in uncertain of what to expect, and walked away honestly itching for a little more. Fans of the franchise will get a kick out of seeing fan favorites like Tommy Oliver and Rita Repulsa fight it out in what-if scenarios, while fighting game fans will appreciate the depth of the mechanics. Just bear in mind that it is a freemium mobile game, and that the developers had to focus their polish in order to make the game worthwhile, if not necessarily perfect.